In the previous video from Skagway, Alaska, I left the Discovery Princess after our early morning arrival to explore the town of Skagway on foot, before returning to the ship to get ready for our 12 noon excursion aboard the White Pass and Yukon Route Railway. Now we're leaving the ship again to board the train for our trip to White Pass. Join us as we get aboard. We boarded the train at the siding conveniently located at the end of the cruise ship dock. After being directed to a car, we chose seats and settled in. Soon we were underway and passing along the walkway into town that I had used earlier in the day. It was not long before we were passing through the edge of Skagway and headed out of town on our way to White Pass. During the early part of the trip, we passed through forests and across streams as we slowly climbed out of the valley from Skagway. As you can see, it was still raining as we climbed into the mountains. There was also a narrator on board to give us insight into the background and history of the area and the railroad.
The White Pass, which started in Skagway, and there was the Choku Trail, which started in Dyea, 9 miles west of Skagway. Some chose the Choku Trail and others chose the White Pass Trail. They believed it would be easier by having pack animals carry their supplies. But boy, were they wrong. On one side you have rock, and the other dropped hundreds of feet down.
Each car had open-air platforms at the end where we were allowed to take photos and videos along the way. The platform was covered, but it was still a wet proposition on this rainy day. As you probably heard the narrator say, here is a view of Bridal Veil Falls as seen across the valley and through the trees.
Approaching mile marker 14, Glacier Station. We will be passing over the Glacier Station Bridge. That will give us some great views up and down the Warm Valley.
As the train climbed higher and higher, our views of the valley looking down toward Skagway became more and more spectacular, and the trees more sparse. Even on this rainy and foggy day, the views were nothing short of breathtaking. At this point, we could see the railroad where we were earlier below, and the highway into Skagway from Canada across the valley. The views down the valley and the clouds and scenery below looked more like the aerial views you would see from an airplane than that from a train. Near the top of the pass, we passed over a trestle and through a tunnel. Here, through the raindrops on the window, we see one of the original trestles on the railroad that is no longer in use. At this point, we have reached the tree line and are approaching the Canadian border. Here you can see parts of the original White Pass Trail. We crossed the border into Canada, but since we're not getting off the train, we don't have to go through customs and immigration. Now, when I rode the White Pass in Yukon 25 years ago, we stopped just past the border, uncoupled the engine and moved it to the other end of the train, and flipped the seats for the trip back down the mountain. Since that time, this loop has been added that allows the train to turn around and head back down the mountain without uncoupling. The views on the trip back down the mountain were on the opposite side of the train, so I didn't take much video on the trip down. As we started back down the mountain, I caught this shot of the small cabin at the Canada-US border, although the flags are not visible due to the window. By 3 p.m. we were back on board the ship. These shots are from my cabin balcony looking at the Skagway dock. The area where you see construction was the site of a rock slide that temporarily closed the dock earlier in the year and was undergoing mitigation and reinforcement during our visit. This balcony view of the Lynn Canal is mostly blocked by the fog bank. The ship departed Skagway at 5 p.m. to begin the 1,000-mile-plus trip back to Victoria, British Columbia over the next 48 hours or so. We headed to dining and were seated near a window to observe our sail down the Lynn Canal. Just before dark, we were able to observe the iconic Eldred Rock Lighthouse. And then it was on to shipboard nightlife, where it was off to a show and then some time in the Crooner's Lounge.
This is a song, maybe quite simple, but not if I succumb, I'm never flipping my mind. Well, accompanied on a green enough, sure is fun. Come on, baby, drive me crazy. Well, it is great, she's great, boy.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, would you give us a thumbs up, share it, and leave us a comment to let us know what you think? We invite you to join us on our website at findushere.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon. And be sure to check out this video next for more travel fun. And don't forget to subscribe. Your subscriptions are always greatly appreciated.